this 24th day of November, 2021, signed by the foreperson. As to William R. Bryan. In the Superior Court of Glenn County, State of Georgia versus William R. Bryan, case number CR 2000433, jury verdict form. Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 2, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 3, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 4, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 5, felony murder. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 6, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan not guilty. Count 7, aggravated assault. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 8, false imprisonment. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Count 9, criminal attempt to commit a felony. We, the jury, find the defendant William R. Bryan guilty. Signed this 24th day of November by the foreperson. Go ahead, MC. Court having read the verdicts and accepted the verdicts, anything from the state?
No, Your Honor, nothing from the state.
Anything from the defense?
We ask the jury be polled, Your Honor.
All defendants ask the jury be polled? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask each of you individually a set of 2 questions with respect to the verdicts that I have just read. If you could please respond when you hear your juror number. Juror number 1, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 2, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
I can't. Okay, 2. Juror number 3, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes.
Juror number 4, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
Juror number 5, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 7, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 8, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 9, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 10, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 11, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 12, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And juror 16, you have heard the verdicts read. Were these your verdicts then, and are these your verdicts now?
Yes, sir.
The jury has been polled. Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
From Greg McMichael?
No, Your Honor.
From Mr. Bryan?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what that means with the court having accepted your verdict is that your role in this case is now at an end. What we're going to do today is I'm going to have all of you, the panel and the 3 alternates, go ahead and retire into the jury room. I'm going to address a couple matters logistically with you in the jury room once we get done here. But before we do that, and before I excuse you, I do want to thank you publicly for your service here in Glenn County. It has been a long trial, and I appreciate the fact that you have been attentive. You've listened to the evidence, and that is what we ask in this court. It's a very simple ask in a very complex way, so it's appreciated. When we all got together, I say we all got together, when we got together at different times, I said that I was going to thank you a number of times and how I was going to tell you I do truly appreciate your time here. Hopefully you understand why I said that when we started. I do also hope that you got a little bit of an insight into what goes on in a trial and maybe understand a little bit more of how important it is for members of our community to come down and be part of this process and serve as jurors in this community. So again, thank you for that service. And I'll come address you all in just a moment. You are excused.
All right, for the jury.
And if you're just joining us right now, that was Judge Timothy Walmsley reading the verdicts there in the trial in the case of Ahmaud Arbery, the three defendants, Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan, to some degree guilty in the death of Ahmaud Arbery. Now, it's complicated here. You see the 9 different charges for each defendant. Travis McMichael found guilty on all charges, ranging from malice murder, the most serious, down to aggravated assault and false imprisonment. His father, Gregory McMichael, found not guilty of malice murder, but guilty on the rest of the counts. And then you saw William Roddy Bryan. He's the man who recorded that video. He's the man who was following in that other vehicle. Found not guilty on malice murder, felony murder, and there was another one in there as well. But it's a variety of charges. The bottom line here, in this case of Ahmaud Arbery, this case that was heard across the country, these men were found guilty to some degree involved in his killing. Let's go ahead and bring in our senior national correspondent, Steve Osunsami, who's been following this. He's outside the courthouse right now in Georgia. And Steve, just talk about the significance of this verdict. It's a mixed verdict, but I would imagine the Arbery family, this is what they were looking to hear, the justice they'd been calling for.
So in court, as the verdict was read, the person who you heard screaming out, according to the pool reporters who were in there watching this very closely, was the father of Ahmaud Arbery, Marcus Arbery. He screamed out that this was a long time coming, and then the judge ordered the bailiff to have him removed from the courtroom. He walked out on his own. I'm told that Wanda Cooper, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, was holding her hands with people who she was seated with in the courtroom, praying as this verdict was read. And when that first guilty verdict was read, you could hear the cries and the screams in the air here where I'm standing right now, across the street from the courthouse. They're still screaming in joy right now as we speak because of this verdict. And it is somewhat of a mixed verdict, but not really, because only one of the murder charges, it only took one to guarantee any of the defendants who got that murder charge life in prison. That's the minimum sentence for a murder charge in the state of Georgia, and all 3 of them will be looking at that at this point.
Yeah, these defendants made the case that this was a citizen's arrest, that they were defending themselves, but the prosecution said you can't claim self-defense if you are the aggressor, if you provoke the situation. And as we see here, the jury agreeing with the prosecution. So let's go ahead and bring in our chief ABC News legal analyst, Dan Abrams. Again, we're trying to just explain the complexities of these mixed verdicts here, but what's the bottom line to you? Are you surprised at all?
I don't think there are any real surprises here. So let's understand exactly what they've decided. They've basically determined, based on the facts, who was responsible for what. Travis McMichael was the one who actually fired the shotgun. And they're saying he's more culpable here. He's guilty of the highest form of murder in this case. Gregory McMichael, his father, guilty of all of the other charges. Now remember, the 4 felony murder charges all connect to the 4 felonies below it. Felony murder means in the course of committing a felony, someone is killed. And therefore, you can be charged with murder for just having the intent to have committed the felony. So you see that Gregory McMichael is convicted of all of the felonies, and then obviously of all of the felony murders in connection with that. And then you go over to Roddy Bryan's case, and you see that the one count he was not convicted of, which was both the felony of aggravated assault with a shotgun, he was not convicted of the felony murder count in connection with that. Why? These jurors clearly believed that he wasn't responsible for the use of the shotgun, that he may not have known that they necessarily had a gun, but that he was guilty of unlawful imprisonment, criminal attempt to commit a felony, all of the other charges, and that since death ensued, that's felony murder. But as Steve said, bottom line here is they're all convicted of murder. They're all facing the possibility of life in prison.
Dan, I want to turn to our ABC News contributor and legal analyst, Shauna Lloyd. She's joining us as well. And Shauna,